Peter Hujar ist eine große Entdeckung für uns, ein fantastischer Fotograf, der, glaube ich, etwas zu wenig Beachtung gefunden hat in den letzten Jahren.
There was so much sex. The 70s before HIV was very promiscuous.
These images have become historical.
Wir haben mit 2 Kuratoren zusammengearbeitet. Das ist einerseits John Miller, der Biograf ist von ihm, und auch Gary Schneider, der von Peter Hujar selbst sozusagen auserwählte Drucker.
The people that he photographed are mostly people from his community, the people he knew. They were friends, or in some cases friends of friends. But a lot of the male nudes are also friends, but also people he wanted to have sex with. Maybe. We don't know, right? But it looks like it, right? Because there was so much sex. The 70s before HIV was very promiscuous. And he was very promiscuous, yeah.
This is very much his own aesthetic and very much his own world that he was creating with these people. But equally, it does document the East Village, or New York in general at that time, which has become, a massively romanticized period. I think in lots of ways his relationship to the East Village scene is much more anthropological than it is aesthetic.
For Peter, it was very important that the person he was photographing also intended to make themselves very present to him, like not hold back, not make camera face.
Die Idee ist bei Hujar auch sehr stark, dass die Scham keine Rolle mehr spielt, dass er nah dran geht an das Leben, an auch den Tod, an den Verfall, aber eben auch an die sexuellen Momente und die Erotik. Das ist ganz wichtig bei ihm, und das macht sozusagen eine irre Spannung aus, ohne dass man das Gefühl hat, man ist in einer voyeuristischen Rolle.
Peter himself said that he wanted to be remembered as a photographer who was gay and not as a gay photographer. And of course his subjects represent his sexuality. That's the world that was around him, and he photographed his world. And the thing about Peter Hujar is that the work was never academic.
Peter believed he would photograph something because it was very meaningful to him, but then actually he made it even more meaningful to him in the darkroom. He re-edited the image after it was taken. So The Two Boys in the Car is a very good description of how Peter worked, because it describes exactly what he did in the darkroom to make it function the way he wanted it to function. And so, yeah, that's very important with Peter's work.
Peter Hujar was fairly known in the world at the time that he was making the work, and then there was this great struggle for the work to become seen and so on, and I don't think that's wholly true. I mean, it's certainly true that in his lifetime he struggled. In some ways he was his own worst enemy. He wasn't able to sell work easily because he found it frustrating to have to deal with dealers and people that he didn't think were sympathetic to the work. But nonetheless, he had shows in his lifetime, some of which were fairly significant. At that point in his life, there was no reason to think that this wasn't possibly going to be a successful career. It became clearer later that it was going to be more difficult. But I think the narrative that says that he was invisible is not in any way true.
He died at the end of '87, and I met him at the beginning of '77. And then I had an exhibition, and in it was an installation of photographs, and he was impressed with them. The relationship was quite complex, but it was very much centered around me being someone that really understood what he was doing. Peter was really an extraordinary printer. After he was diagnosed with AIDS, with HIV, he never went back into the darkroom. And in that last year, I printed for him. He was not commercially successful in his lifetime, but he knew that he would become famous. He actually knew. I don't think he would have predicted this kind of famous, but he knew he would become famous.
There's a quote from Joel Smith, who curated the Morgan Library exhibition in 2018, where he says that what's brutal about the work is what's outside the frame, bearing down upon the subject, and what's beautiful about it is them bearing up against it. And in a sense, I think this title, Eyes Open in the Dark, speaks to that idea. And I think at this particular moment when the darkness is getting darker and darker, it's also speaking to the present moment as well.